What's going on YouTube? Today I bring you Xavien Howard trade destinations, mock trades. He's pretty unhappy with his contract, and it doesn't seem like Miami is very willing to pay him. This would obviously be a gigantic blow to the Dolphins if they did end up trading him. Maybe they get some good capital in return, and we'll go over some mock trades today for that. But overall, still, this is not a guy you want to lose. If I were the Dolphins, they've not got the best cap space at $5 million. But if this guy he's wanted to say 3 to 5 more million, I mean, you have that technically. I think he is worth it. So if I was the Dolphins, I would just pay up. But for now, we're going to go over some trade destinations. If they do trade him, it clears $12 million in cap space. There is no dead cap on his contract this year, so it would trade $12 million. Now, how much would transfer is obviously $12 million, but obviously whatever team he goes to is going to extend him and probably or I don't know about extend. The main issue is the money. He is already on contract for the next 3 years for wherever he goes, so he may not be extended, but he'll definitely get a pay raise. So either any of the teams that he goes to will see, technically it's a $12 million cap transfer, but they're going to have to pay more for him anyways. Two-time Pro Bowler, in my opinion, the number 3 cornerback in the league, and 28 years old, he wants out. So let's head into the number 6 team, and the number 6 team is going to be the New York Jets. At $25 million in cap space, they definitely have the cap to get a Xavien Howard. They for sure have the capital. The main issue obviously stands at the fact that they're in-division rivals. I honestly don't see a trade happening unless it is something similar to what I have here. In this case, you have the Jets giving up Marcus May, a 2nd round this year and a 3rd round the following year for Xavien Howard, and getting a 5th round pick and back in return. Like I said, I really don't see the Jets being able to pull off a trade unless they're willing to give up something big. Now, I did think Marcus May might make a little bit of sense. The Dolphins don't really have a top tier safety, obviously. The Jets are not really the Jets do not seem like they value Marcus May that much. I mean, they pitched him a deal for $8 million a year when his franchise tag was $10 million a year or something like that. They value him less than the franchise tag does. So I would not be surprised that if the Jets somehow do pull off a trade, I think Marcus May could actually be a piece of the trade, just because it's a need for the Dolphins, but also the fact that it's just they don't value him. So I think all around this trade makes a lot of sense for both sides getting their respective value for the trade. But again, I just don't see it happening. That's why they're here at number 6. It is still possible, because if the Jets are willing to do a trade like this, I very well think it could work. It's just, are the Dolphins willing to trade him inter-division? I'm not sure. And so that's why the Jets are going to be here at 6. At number 5, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they have decent cap space, especially for the future. Their cap situation is looking pretty good. So they definitely have the money to pay him. I don't see this being as likely, just because I feel like there's other places the Steelers need to focus on right now. I talked about in my Steelers deep dive, which literally just came out yesterday, if you want to go check that out, that, in my opinion, on a defense, the pass rush is the most important part of a defense, and the Steelers have one of the best, if not the best, pass rushes in the NFL. So while getting Xavien Howard would definitely make your defense, almost unquestionably number 1, because Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey are great, obviously, but TJ Watt, Cam Hayward, Stephon Tuitt, Xavien Howard, and Minkah Fitzpatrick, I mean, that would be an extremely scary defense. I just don't see it happening at the end of the day. Really, just because, again, I think it's not the biggest need for the Steelers, and they need to keep some of their draft picks. Benny Snell, I feel like if the Steelers did make a trade for Xavien Howard, Benny Snell would for sure be part of the deal, just being that he's basically a worse Najee Harris, and at that less athletic. So I feel like he would definitely be part of the trade. But, they're giving up a 1st and a 4th round pick here. I just feel like that 1st round pick is still very valuable to a team that, like it or not, is going to be rebuilding pretty soon. Even though the defense is good, there's just a lot of core issues. And, while it'd be great, it would make that defense so freaking scary, I just think there's much bigger needs for the Steelers team right now. And it would take up pretty much all their cap to bring him over. So Steelers are still a possibility. They're my number 5 team. Obviously, they have a better chance than a lot of other teams, but they are still my number 5 team. Number 4, we have the New Orleans Saints. At 11 million, they also are pretty capable of, getting Xavien Howard, although it would also take up pretty much the rest of their cap, especially for the future. Cap is not looking very good for the Saints in the future. They've kind of cheated in a way where they've gotten a lot of their players to be bonus based. I don't see Xavien Howard going for that. He's definitely going to be a base salary guy, so he's definitely going to take the rest of your salary up. Other big deal about this is that the Saints could offer like a Latavius Murray. However, I just think Marshawn Lattimore is one of those players that the Dolphins would definitely want back in a trade like this, and that makes it tough because you're giving up at worst a solid corner. He's had his ups and downs. For yes, a very, very good corner. That corner room is still really poor beyond the number 1. If you're the Saints, I feel like you're going to want to try to keep Lattimore in a trade like this, and I just don't see that happening. I feel like if you're going to make a trade with the Saints, with Xavien Howard, you're going to be asking for Lattimore. It just only makes sense to me. Maybe they ask for Latavius Murray, but I don't see that happening or them really wanting him, and I definitely don't see the Saints giving up Alvin Kamara. All that together, they give up a bit less draft capital, but it's not a good situation. Once again, I think there are it's a big need for the Saints, obviously, but I think there's a few other things that are just more important. I don't see the point, because obviously, again, Howard is still a big upgrade over Lattimore, but it's just your depth at that point still really stinks, and you don't want to give up Lattimore in general. If you can keep your draft capital at the same time, it's a trade that could definitely happen. I think it's more likely that the Steelers and the Jets, but it's still not very likely in my opinion. This is kind of like teetering on the edge of kind of likely. But moving into the third team, this is where I do think it does become more of a likely situation. We have the Vikings, 13.5 million cap. They definitely have the cap as well. Again, it's going to take up the rest of it, but do have the cap. In a trade like this, I feel like, the Vikings could work something out because the Vikings have a ton of great young corners, Harrison Hand, Cameron Dantzler, Jeff Gladney, and Harrison Hand showed some really nice things last year, so I think he would probably be part of the trade at this point. I feel like this is a team that also is just so well completed that they're able to give up, draft capital for a guy like Xavien Howard. Issue is I don't know how much they really want Xavien Howard. They signed Bashaud Breeland, Patrick Peterson, Trey Waynes in free agency. They've got some solid veteran guys there already. Now, they're on one-year contracts, and again, this is the first team that, in my opinion, is a likely landing spot. But I just feel like there's two other teams that, have a bigger need, just kind of have some more enticing options for the Dolphins, and all in all, it's just kind of one of those things where you put it all together and it's likely, but I just don't see it as much as the other two teams on here. Speaking of the number 2, I have the Chargers. This makes a lot of sense to me. They definitely have the cap space. Once again, they'll probably take up the rest of it, but you're probably not in the negative at that point. To me, this trade could be very nice actually for both sides because on the Chargers side, you give away Chris Harris Jr., who really, he's a solid slot guy, and the Dolphins could actually really use like a great slot corner, which they really don't have. I mean, Justin Coleman can kind of play that, but Chris Harris would give them another great piece of that corner room. So they downgrade, but they upgraded in another way. Whereas with the Chargers, you get your true number 1 corner with Xavien Howard. He's a guy that I think would fit Brandon Staley's defensive scheme perfectly. And both teams are getting good capital in return. I think, the Chargers actually receive a nice, decent pick out of it. Dolphins still get their capital with a first and a third. All of that combined, I feel like this is a really solid trade for both sides. The Chargers can make it work. This is a team I feel like Howard would want to go to. With the Dolphins, they're getting actually something nice in return, and it's actually an upgrade in some respects just because, again, obviously, Harris is definitely not even close to as good as Howard, but he is still a great slot corner, which the Dolphins do not have. So all in all, I think this trade works really well on both sides, but there is just one team that I just think, in my opinion, has the best odds to land Xavien Howard, and that is the Arizona Cardinals. At 11 million cap, they don't have quite as much cap as like the Jets or the Chargers, but they still have enough cap to make it work for sure. They have some decent cap for the future as well. I think I like this trade the most because the Cardinals are kind of able to offer the Dolphins what they want on offense and defense and still give them that draft capital because they don't need it. I picked Marco Wilson here just because I think if you're the Cardinals, you want to try to hold on to Tay Gowan, but it can be Tay Gowan or Marco Wilson, both great young corners that I think would both fit the Dolphins defense fantastic. You would throw in Chase Edmonds here. Really, you could put Benjamin or even James Conner in here too. It'd just be either one of those three would be a really solid running back to add to that running back room. And then now, because you're grabbing yourself a Xavien Howard, your team is so freaking stacked and so full of talent. You filled your last major hole. You're able to give that first-round pick away now. So the Cardinals are providing the corner need, the running back need, and the capital need. And in return, you're getting Xavien Howard, maybe a pick, whatever. Point is, on the Cardinals side, you're filling in that corner gap, which is easily by far and away the biggest gap on that roster right now. It's the one reason why I don't think they'll make a deep playoff run, because that corner room is still not the best. Malcolm Butler is far past his prime. Robert Alford is whatever. He should definitely not be starting. But you throw in a Xavien Howard, now we're talking. I mean, just on that defense alone, J.J. Watt, Chandler Jones rushing the quarterback, Xavien Howard and Budda Baker back there, and then, obviously you already have the offense. I think on the Dolphins side, this makes a lot of sense because you're regaining a lot of capital, and on the Cardinals side, you're giving away capital that you're able to give up because you're so deep at those places and you have great talent beyond those guys. I think for both teams, this makes a lot of sense. And all in all, I just kind of feel like, when I first heard that Xavien Howard, could be traded, my mind just kind of instantly went to the Cardinals because to me, that's just the perfect fit. It's the perfect trade for both teams. And so my prediction for Xavien Howard is to land with the Arizona Cardinals. But that is the video for today. If you guys liked the video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.